A friend returned, but truth was dead with her. Miss Marple sat in her chair. A knock came. Sharp, not polite. She rose, opened the door. A woman stood there, tall, confident, smiling too much. "Jane?" the woman asked. Her voice was smooth, her eyes too direct. Miss Marple frowned. No name came to her lips. The woman laughed softly. "You don't recognize me. I'm Lavinia Hart." Marple's hand tightened on the knob. Lavinia Hart, her schoolmate, dead and gone years ago. But the woman spoke without pause. "I always said we'd meet again, and here we are." Marple gave a small nod. Her eyes moved over the woman's face. The chin was smooth, too smooth. No scar. She remembered the scar. A jagged line from a childhood fall. It was not there now. Marple said little. The woman filled the silence. "I've been away. Abroad. Many places. You wouldn't know." Marple's lips pressed thin. "Indeed," she said, her tone even. The woman leaned forward. "I've heard of your clever mind. Solving little things. You always had a sharp eye." Miss Marple stayed still. Sharp eye, yes. And that sharp eye told her something. This was not Lavinia Hart. But she said nothing yet. The woman went on. "I'm staying nearby. The Blue Boar. Such a quaint place." Marple nodded once. Her mind worked quickly. Blue Boar. That was where Felix Arden lodged. The writer. The man with the portable typewriter. Coincidence? Perhaps. But Marple did not like coincidences. The woman straightened. "I came for a reason. You'll see me again soon. There's an event tomorrow. You must come. It will be interesting." Marple's eyes narrowed. "What event?" "A demonstration. A simple thing. Bay leaf steam. For the skin. Very fashionable." She smiled. Too wide. Too rehearsed. Marple gave a soft answer. "I shall consider it." The woman's smile deepened. "You won't regret it." She turned, walked away, steps firm, head high. Miss Marple watched her go, heart steady, mind sharp. This was no friend. This was no Lavinia. She closed the door, whispered only 3 words. "She is lying." Next morning came. The visitor returned. She walked in bold, like she belonged. Miss Marple was ready, needle in hand, knitting quiet, eyes sharper than steel. The woman smiled again. "I knew you'd remember more today." Her tone was teasing, her confidence unshaken. Marple answered gently. "I do remember, but memory plays tricks. Old friends can blur." The woman tilted her head. "You doubt me?" Marple stayed calm. "I note differences." "What differences?" Her voice rose. A flash of temper showed. Marple looked at the chin. No scar. Never a scar. Smooth as glass. "In school," Marple said, "Lavinia fell. She cut her chin. A scar remained always." The woman touched her face, laughed too quickly. "Vanity, dear Jane. Doctors abroad. They remove such marks now." Marple kept silent, but doubt grew heavier. No doctor could erase parish records, and parish records spoke of death. The woman pressed forward. "I want us close again, like before. You will help me." "Help you how?" Marple's tone was mild. "You have influence. People listen to you. A lady like you." Marple let her speak. Words spilled. "Tomorrow, at the Women's Institute. A simple event. I shall perform a demonstration." "What kind of demonstration?" "Beauty, of course. Steam. From bay leaves. A tradition. Harmless. Delightful. The ladies will adore it." Marple nodded once. Still knitting. Still watching. The woman leaned closer. "You must attend. You must support me. Your presence gives weight. Marple answered slowly. I seldom attend, but perhaps this time. The woman clapped her hands softly. Splendid. It will be charming. Marple's needles clicked. Her thoughts sharper. Why press her to come? Why demand her approval? The woman moved to the window. Her eyes scanned the garden. Too long, too careful, as if searching for something hidden. Your home is pleasant, she said, her voice falsely sweet. Marple gave no answer. She only watched. She only measured. At last the woman turned. Tomorrow will be the start. You'll see. Everything begins tomorrow. She picked up her bag, fastened the clasp. Her fingers shook once, then steadied. Marple noticed. A detail small, but real. The woman stepped out. Door closed. Silence returned. Marple set down her knitting. Eyes narrowed. Hands folded. She spoke only to herself. This is dangerous. The clock struck. Slow. Heavy. Marple whispered one line. She is planning something. The next day began. Word spread fast. The Women's Institute would host an event. A demonstration. Steam and beauty. Villagers whispered. A new lady would lead it. Mrs. Isabel Vale. Elegant, confident, unfamiliar to most. She called on Marple again, arrived with bright energy. Smile painted. Voice rehearsed. Jane, you must attend. Everyone will be there. It will amuse you. Marple sat still. Her knitting rested in her lap, her eyes sharp. Such events, Marple said softly, are usually for the younger women. Nonsense, Mrs. Vale laughed. You'll enjoy it. The leaves cleanse the skin. A simple trick. A lady like you deserves it. Marple nodded faintly. I see. And where will this take place? The hall. 3 o'clock. The whole parish is invited. Marple watched her carefully. Bay leaves, you said? Yes, bay. From the Laurel family. Gentle. Safe. Marple's fingers tapped once. Her mind recorded the claim. Safe. She did not believe it. The woman leaned closer. Support me, Jane. Your presence carries weight. They all respect you. Marple answered simply. I may come. We shall see. Mrs. Vale clasped her hand, her grip too firm, her eyes too bright. Then she hurried out. Steps quick, movements tight. Marple watched the door close. Her doubts deepened. Later that morning, Dolly Bantry arrived. She burst into the sitting room. Jane, have you heard? A demonstration at the hall. Marple nodded. Yes, I have heard. Dolly spoke fast. All the ladies are excited. Something different at last. Better than endless knitting talk. Marple asked gently. And what exactly will be shown? Steam, dear. Leaves in hot water. A towel over the head. They say it clears the face. Marple gave a small sigh. And who brings the leaves? Mrs. Vale herself, Dolly replied. She seems very eager. Newcomers always want to impress. Marple's eyes narrowed. Yes, they do. The clock chimed, slow and heavy. Time pushed forward. By noon, others spoke. Mrs. Dodds at the shop. Lily Veen outside the church. Even Inspector Slack heard rumors. Each name carried the news. Each voice raised the expectation. Marple listened to all. She said little. Her mind built a pattern. That evening she sat alone, her notebook open, one line written, demonstration, leaves, danger. She closed the book, hands folded tight, eyes steady. Tomorrow would test her. She must be ready. The village was eager, the women prepared. The hall would be full. But Miss Marple knew. Something darker waited, hidden behind steam, hidden behind smiles. She whispered softly, tomorrow, someone will die. The day arrived. The hall filled, chairs scraped. Women whispered, Expectations ran high. At the front, Mrs. Vale stood, her presence strong, her voice smooth. Today we refresh ourselves. Nature's cure. Simple bay leaves, hot water, steam for beauty. She gestured to the jug. Large, sturdy. Water already warm. Marple sat near the back, knitting bag beside her, eyes sharp. She scanned the room. Dolly. Bantry waved. Mrs. Dodds fussed. Lily Veen giggled. All eager, all innocent. The jug waited. The cork sealed. Towels folded neatly. Binding wires held tight. Marple noted the work. Not careless. Professional. Someone skilled had prepared it. Inspector Slack entered quietly. He leaned against the wall. He watched with a doubtful frown. The demonstration began. Mrs. Vale lifted the jug. Steam hissed faintly. Aromatic leaves floated inside. Observe, ladies, a trick from the ancients. For skin, for health, for beauty. She spoke with charm. Too much charm. Her smile constant. She placed the jug on the table, uncorked it slowly. Steam rose. Towels placed over. A tent formed. She bent forward, face above the jug, towel over her head. The hall grew still, eyes fixed, mouths silent. Steam thickened, breath quickened. Mrs. Vale inhaled deeply. Seconds passed. Her hands gripped the table. Her body trembled. Marple leaned forward. Her nose twitched. A bitter trace in the air. Almond. Yes. Bitter almond. She whispered to herself. Cyanide. The body jerked once, then slumped. The towel fell aside. The jug tipped. Water spilled. Gasps filled the hall. Screams followed. Chairs scraped again. Mrs. Vale lay still, face pale, eyes glassy. Dolly Bantry clutched her chest. Good heavens, she's fainted. Marple shook her head. No, not fainted. Inspector Slack rushed forward, kneeled beside the body, checked pulse, shook his head grimly. She's gone, he muttered. The hall erupted. Whispers turned to panic. Women pressed to the doors. Confusion everywhere. Marple rose slowly, her gaze fixed on the jug. Leaves still floating. Glossy. Green. Not bay. Slack barked orders. Stay back. No one leaves. This is police business. The women froze. Fear gripped them. Eyes darted. Mouths trembled. Marple stepped closer. She pointed at the jug. Those are not bay leaves. Slack glared. What? Then, Marple's tone was calm. Cherry laurel. Poisonous. Deadly when boiled. Slack stared. His jaw clenched. His eyes narrowed. Marple added softly. And the cork. Look at it. There is a hole. Slack bent low, studied the cork. A small puncture, directing steam in one line. He looked up sharply. This was no accident. Marple nodded once, her eyes cold. Her words final. This was murder. The hall was chaos. Women pushed to leave. Slack blocked the door. No one moves. He raised his hand. This is official. A crime has been done. Whispers spread. Eyes wide. Hands trembling. Marple stood silent, her gaze steady, her mind racing. She moved to the jug, leaned close, sniffed once. The smell was sharp, the smell of almonds. She said quietly, this was prepared. Someone planned this. Slack frowned. Poison? From leaves? Yes, Marple said. Cherry laurel. Not bay, cyanide gas. He muttered low. Who had the chance? The women looked around, faces pale, fear heavy. Dolly whispered, someone switched them. But when? Marple answered softly. Before the event. The jug was ready, the towels fixed, the cork pierced. Slack bent over the table, his eyes sharp now. He touched the cork, felt the small hole. Narrow, deliberate. He straightened. This is clever work. Marple nodded. Too clever for chance. Slack turned to the crowd. Who handled the jug? Who touched the towels? Speak. Silence. No answer. At last Mrs. Dodds spoke. I saw her carry the jug. She said the leaves came from her garden. She insisted no one help. Marple looked up. Her garden? Or someone else's hedge? Dolly gasped. The laurel hedge outside the hall. It grows thick there. Marple's eyes narrowed. Yes, and some leaves are missing. Slack ordered constables. Search the hedge. Now. Men rushed outside. Minutes later they returned, hands full of leaves. Glossy, fresh cut, edges neat. Slack studied them, his face grim. These matched the jug. Marple pointed again. Not only the leaves, look at the towels, bound with florist's wire. Precise, skilled hands tied them. The crowd murmured. Lily whispered to Dolly, That's not housework, that's professional. Marple spoke low. Yes, whoever tied these new flowers, new binding, new display. Slack turned back to the women. Does anyone here arrange flowers? Church? Exhibitions? Several heads turned. Eyes fixed on a quiet figure near the wall. The figure froze. Hands clenched. Eyes dropped. Slack stepped closer. You've done this work before. The woman shook her head quickly. No, not me. I only watched. I never touched. Marple's voice cut sharp. Watched, or practiced many times. The knots speak for themselves. Silence again. Tension deep. Slack growled. We'll test every story. No one is free. He looked at the body once more, then back at Marple, his voice low, his eyes cold. Someone here is a killer, and they're still in this room. The hall grew quiet again. Constables held the doors. Slack barked orders. No one leaves till we are done. The body lay still. Women looked away. Fear spread like smoke. Marple bent close once more. She lifted a leaf from the jug, turned it in her fingers. Smooth. Glossy. Not bay. She sniffed it. The bitter almond smell returned. Her eyes narrowed. Yes, cyanide. Slack watched her. You're sure? Marple gave one nod. The smell alone. And the reaction. Quick. Sudden. Only cyanide does this. Slack muttered. I thought bay leaves were safe. They are, Marple said. But this is cherry laurel. Very common. Very deadly. One mistake kills. Dolly gasped. But who would know to use it? Marple looked around. Eyes moved from face to face. Someone skilled. Someone who studied plants. Someone who planned carefully. The crowd shifted. Nervous glances exchanged. No one spoke. Slack turned to the constables. Take the jug. Seal it. Guard it. They carried it away. Careful. Slow. Marple pointed at the cork. Keep that too. The hole tells the story. Slack picked it up. Held it close. Saw the puncture. His mouth tightened. Deliberate, he growled. Not accident. Not chance. Marple agreed. Yes. The steam was aimed. Forced into her face. She inhaled death in seconds. A murmur spread. Whispers grew. Eyes turned toward the door. Slack raised his voice. Quiet. This is murder. You are all witnesses. And suspects. Gasps followed. Lily Veen covered her mouth. Mrs. Dodds shook her head. Dolly clutched Marple's sleeve. Marple whispered. They must be calm. But the truth is here, in plain sight. Slack glared. You mean one of them? Marple's answer was firm. Yes, someone inside this hall. Someone who touched those towels. Someone who cut those leaves. Someone who prepared this trap. Slack folded his arms. Then we'll find them, one by one. The hall waited, breath short, hands tight. Marple looked once more at the body, her eyes sharp, her mind steady. She was not who she claimed, and someone wanted her silenced. Slack frowned. What do you mean? Marple leaned close, voice low, cold. She called herself Lavinia Hart, but Lavinia Hart died years ago. Inspector Slack held the jug, his fingers tight, his eyes sharp. This thing killed her, he said. Leaves and water. Nothing else. Marple corrected him. Not only leaves. Look closer. See the gloss, the texture. Cherry laurel, not bay. Slack muttered. You keep repeating that. Marple's tone was firm. I repeat because it matters. Laurel makes poison. Steam carried it. The jug was the weapon. He bent over it. The rim darkened. The cork hole clean. Small. Precise. Marple touched the edge, her finger steady. This was pierced with purpose, not random. The angle forced vapor straight. Slack frowned. Who would think of such detail? Marple answered quietly. Someone patient. Someone who wanted certainty. She was meant to breathe nothing else. Dolly whispered. It's clever and cruel. Marple ignored the comment, her eyes fixed on the table. Water stains spread. Leaves floated still. She leaned closer, picked one with care. Notice the stalk, fresh cut, from hedge nearby. Slack signaled a constable. Check the hedge again. Bring more samples. The man left quickly. Minutes passed. He returned with branches. Leaves bright. Edges sliced neat. Slack stared. So the killer used these. Marple nodded. Yes, cut recently, before the event. He muttered again. Too close. Too easy. Marple said softly. Yes, they wanted it to look careless. But the cork hole proves design. The women whispered. Eyes turned to the towels. Still on the table. Still bound. Marple pointed. See the binding. Not rough knots. Tight. Even. Florist's wire. Slack tested them. The metal strong. The loops perfect. Who ties like this? Marple's eyes narrowed. Someone used to church flowers. Funerals. Weddings. A skilled arranger. Slack turned to the crowd. Who here arranges flowers? Silence. Faces stiff. Breaths held. Mrs. Dodds shifted uneasily. Her hands trembled, but she shook her head. No, not me. Others looked at Lily. She flushed red. I only help sometimes. Never like this. Never with wire. Slack growled. One of you lies. Marple's gaze moved again, not rushed. Calm. Each face weighed. She whispered to herself. This was staged. Every part neat. Every part planned. Dolly clutched her arm. Jane, you frighten me. What if the killer hears you? Marple answered. Low. They already hear. They are in this hall. Listening now. Slack's voice cut harsh. Then who is it? Name them. Marple looked down at the jug, her eyes fixed, her lips pressed thin. She said one line only. The jug points the way. Inspector Slack held up the cork. His thumb turned it. His eyes narrowed. Explain this, he demanded. Marple leaned closer. See the puncture. Small, sharp, perfectly placed. Slack frowned. A crack, perhaps. Marple shook her head. No, this was pierced. Intentionally, from outside, before it was used. Slack studied again. The hole neat, not splintered, not broken, made with a fine tool. Marple continued. Gas must travel straight, not drift. Not scatter. This hole directed it. Dolly gasped. Like a funnel. Exactly, Marple said. She bent her head. She breathed the stream. She had no escape. Slack's jaw tightened. So the jug itself was armed, Marple replied softly. Yes, weaponized, and prepared in advance. He asked, who had access? Marple answered, who carried it in, who insisted on handling it alone, who rejected help. The women stirred. Several murmured. I saw her carry it. She would not let me touch. Slack looked grim. So she prepared her own death? Marple shook her head. Not likely. The hole served against her. Not for her. Someone else readied it, then gave it to her. Dolly whispered. She thought it safe. Marple nodded. Yes, she believed bay leaves. But someone swapped them. Slack grunted. Leaves from the hedge. Hole in the cork. Towels bound neat. All pieces of one plan. Marple's voice firmed. Yes, and that plan was murder. He held up the cork again. Who owns tools for this? Who could make such a puncture? Marple replied. Not many. A thin awl, a sharp needle, something precise. Not kitchen work, craft work. The women whispered louder. Eyes turned here and there. Suspicion rising. Slack snapped. Quiet. I'll question you all, one by one. Marple raised her hand. Wait, there is more. Slack scowled. What now? Marple pointed at the table. Look beneath. Water dripped, but see the towel's edge. It is scorched slightly. The steam force too strong. Slack bent. His eyes widened. Yes, you are right. Marple's tone was cold. This was not clumsy, this was expert, the killer rehearsed. Slack straightened, his face set. Then we hunt an expert, one who knows tools, one who knows plants, one who knows binding, Marple whispered. And one who feared the victim's tongue. She had secrets. She was not who she claimed. The hall went silent again. Eyes shifted nervously. No one spoke. Slack pointed to the body, his words sharp. Then tell me, Miss Marple, if she was not who she claimed, who was she really? The body lay still, the jug removed, the cork bagged, but the towels remained. Inspector Slack pointed. Those cloths. Check them. Marple stepped forward. She touched one edge. Her fingers felt the weight. Then the wire. Not ordinary binding, she said. Florist's wire. Thin. Strong. Bends clean. Holds tight. Slack frowned. Wire? For towels? Marple nodded. Yes. Unnecessary here, but useful to make a tent. Steam sealed inside. Gas trapped. Dolly leaned closer. Knots neat too. Almost pretty. Marple gave her a sharp look. Too neat. That is the point. Slack muttered. So we ask who tied them. He lifted one towel, showed the crowd, the loops smooth, the turns precise. Marple spoke again. This is no housewife's work. This is trade skill, from someone who handles flowers, arrangements, displays. The women gasped. Eyes turned. Whispers rose. Lily Veen flushed red. I only helped at Easter. A small bouquet. Not this. Mrs. Dodge shook her head. Church ladies do flowers, not me. Slack barked. One of you lies, and I will prove it. He set the towel back, glared at the group. Flowers, church, fairs who worked them. Silence. Uneasy. Heavy. Marple's gaze swept the hall. Each face weighed. Each hand noted. Nails, cuts, calluses. Her eyes paused. On one pair of hands. Wire marks faint, but visible. She said nothing yet, only stored the fact. Slack growled. This was staged. Every knot exact. Every wire, even. This killer practiced. Marple agreed softly. Yes, practiced many times, and confident no one would notice. Dolly whispered, "But you noticed." Marple replied, "I notice because habit betrays. People repeat what they know." Slack slammed the table. "Then we'll find which habit, and whose." He pointed at the towels again. "Take them. Examine closely. I want fingerprints. I want answers." Constables obeyed. They gathered the towels, wrapped them carefully, carried them out. The hall stirred. Women muttered. Fear spread again. Marple's eyes stayed on those marked hands, her lips pressed thin. Slack turned. "Do you know, Miss Marple? Do you see who?" She did not answer. Not yet. Not aloud. Instead, she whispered to herself. "The wire tells the story, and the hands give it away." Constables returned. Branches in their hands, leaves still damp, edges sharp. Inspector Slack took them, held them high. "Fresh cut," he said. "Straight from the hedge." Marple nodded slowly. "Yes. And note the stems. Smooth slice. No tear. Cut with precision." Slack bent closer, ran his finger along the edge. "Clean. Like scissors." "Not scissors," Marple corrected. "Shears. Garden shears. Sharper. Longer cut. Steadier grip." Dolly Bantry whispered, "Who brings shears to a hall?" Marple answered, "No one openly. But someone prepared. Carried them before. Used. And them outside." Slack called, "Who trimmed this hedge today? Speak." The women shifted. Eyes darted. Mouths tight. Mrs. Dodds cleared her throat. Leaves were already glossy. "None of us touched them." Marple looked at her sharply. "Yet fresh gaps show. See the shine. See the sap still wet." Constable held up another branch. Sap dripped faint. Cut only hours before. Slack growled. "So the killer took them. Minutes before the event. Slipped them in the jug," Marple added softly, "and made sure no one noticed." Confidence again. Habit again. The crowd murmured. Fear thickened. Suspicion heavy. Lily Veen blurted out, "Maybe Mrs. Vale herself cut them." Marple's tone was firm. No, she believed they were bay. She placed her head willingly. She was victim, not handler. Slack's jaw set. Then who cut them? Marple's eyes narrowed. Someone who knew Laurel from Bay. Most would not. The leaves look alike. But the killer knew. Dolly gasped. "Then it must be someone skilled with plants." Marple nodded once. "Yes. Botany, floristry, church arrangements. Someone who learned details others miss." Slack looked around the hall, his stare cold, his voice harsh. "One of you fits that, and I'll find which." Marple stepped to the hedge outside. She touched a branch herself, leaves fresh, cuts exact. She whispered low. They did not fear discovery. They knew no one would check. But habit betrayed them. Slack followed her. "What habit?" Marple answered. "The cut. Always neat, always careful, like flowers placed in pew vases." Slack's face darkened. He turned back to the women, his tone sharp. "Church flowers again. We circle the same skill." Marple's lips pressed thin. "Yes. And now the circle tightens," Slack demanded. "Then name them." Marple stayed silent. She looked at the branches, at the clean slice, at the hedge itself. She whispered, only to herself. "The hedge points, and the hand that cut it is still close." The hall was tense. Constables guarded doors. Women sat stiff. Slack paced. Marple's eyes moved again. Not to the hedge, not to the jug, but to a small frame, a photograph, carried in Mrs. Vale's bag, now laid on the table. Slack picked it up. What is this? Marple leaned close. Look carefully. It shows her claim. A school group. Faces lined in rows. Dolly peered over. There's you, Jane, younger. And there. That must be her. Marple's lips pressed thin. Yes, it should be her, but the details do not agree. Slack frowned. Explain. Marple pointed at the corners. Mounting corners fresh, too new. The photo older than the frame. Replaced recently. She pointed again. Look at the chin, a faint mark in the print. A scar, but the woman today had none. Dolly gasped. You're right. Her face was smooth. Slack muttered. She said surgery. Marple shook her head. No. Impossible in those years. That scar was permanent. The woman before us was not the same. Slack's jaw tightened. Then who was she? Marple answered quietly. An impostor, pretending to be Lavinia Hart. But Lavinia Hart died long ago. The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, fear spreading wider. Mrs. Dodds shook her head. Dead? Then who did we see? Marple stayed calm. A woman with a borrowed name. A woman who needed cover. For a scheme. For a lie. Slack slammed the table. Why come back? Why pose as a dead girl? Marple's eyes narrowed. She came to use my memory, to make her story credible. But she forgot one thing. I noticed small scars. I never forget. Dolly clutched Marple's sleeve. But if she lied about her name, what else did she lie about? Marple answered slowly. Everything. Slack looked at the photo again, then at the body. His voice was grim. So the victim herself was a fraud. Marple nodded. Yes, and fraud invites danger. Someone wanted her silenced, before truth escaped. Slack barked. Bring records. Parish files. Confirm the death of Lavinia Hart. A constable hurried off. Minutes passed. He returned with a book. Slack read aloud. Lavinia Hart, born 1879, died 1904. He slammed it shut. There, proof. The women gasped again. Fear sharp, confusion deeper. Marple spoke softly. She was never Lavinia, and her death was arranged. But now we must ask who needed her gone. Slack glared at the crowd. His voice cut. One of you knows. One of you helped. And I'll have the truth. Marple lowered her gaze. Her words were cold. The photograph is false. The woman was false. And the killer is still among us. Inspector Slack still held the parish book. The ink dark. The entry clear. Lavinia Hart. Died 1904. 25 years ago. He shut the book, his face hard. Then this woman lied. Marple answered softly. Yes, she lied to me. She lied to everyone. Dolly's eyes widened. But she came to you, Jane. She called you old friend. She remembered details. Marple's tone sharpened. Details can be studied. Records can be stolen. But a scar cannot vanish. And the dead cannot walk. Mrs. Dodds muttered. So she was no friend, just a stranger. Marple shook her head. Not just a stranger, a pretender with purpose. She needed my trust. She wanted my name behind her. Slack growled. Why you? Marple's eyes stayed firm. She knew I remember, and if I accepted her story, others would too. That gave her protection. Lily spoke nervously. Protection from what? Marple answered. From questions, from past mistakes, from a life hidden in shadows. Slack turned to the body. Then she came here with secrets. Secrets someone feared. Marple nodded. Yes, and that fear killed her. The constable who held the book spoke again. There's no mistake, sir. The record is certain. Lavinia Hart is buried in the churchyard. Slack scowled. Then this one is nobody. An imposter with a borrowed name, Dolly whispered. Or someone else's enemy. Marple's gaze sharpened. Exactly. If she carried a false name, her true name carried danger. Someone in this hall knew it, and silenced her before she could speak. Slack muttered, "So we must find her real identity." "Yes," Marple said, "and the reason she risked posing as Lavinia." He slammed the book down. "We'll search every record. We'll find her past." Marple shook her head. "No need. She carried a clue herself. Hidden. Waiting." Slack frowned. "What clue?" Marple spoke low. "A sealed envelope. In her bag. Addressed to me. For Miss Marple, when safe." The women gasped again. Dolly clutched Marple's arm. "You mean she meant you to see it?" "Yes," Marple said. "She trusted me. Or feared me. Enough to leave words after death." Slack barked to a constable. "Search her bag now." The man hurried, opened the clasp, brought out papers. At last he held it. A brown envelope. Sealed. Neat. He handed it to Slack. Slack looked at Marple. "Shall we open it?" Marple's eyes stayed on the envelope. Her voice even. "Yes, but carefully. For this may be the key, and the killer may not want it read." Slack tore the edge, drew out the folded sheet, typed, single page. He began to read. His eyes moved quickly, then stopped. Dolly whispered, "What does it say?" Slack's face darkened. His hand shook. He read aloud one line. "The wrong baby was taken, and the aunt knew." Inspector Slack held the page. His eyes scanned the lines. The room waited. Breaths short. He read slowly. "The wrong baby was taken. The aunt knew. The lie was hidden. But lies grow." "Teeth." Gasps spread. Dolly clutched her shawl. "Wrong baby? What does that mean?" Slack shook his head. "It makes no sense." Marple extended her hand. "May I see it?" He passed the sheet. She studied the words. Typed. Even. But not perfect. Marple whispered. "Not printed by machine. Typed by hand. On a portable typewriter." Slack frowned. "How can you tell?" Marple pointed. "See the letter E? It sits slightly low, and the R slants. Always the same mistake. That shows habit. That shows one machine." Dolly leaned close. "Whose machine?" Marple answered quietly. "Felix Arden, the writer at the Blue Boar. I saw him use it once. The same flaw. The same touch." Slack muttered. "So this letter came from him? Or from someone near him?" Marple said. "But his typewriter gave it birth." The women shifted. Whispers rose again. Why would a writer connect to a false woman? Slack tapped the sheet. "What about the story itself? This nonsense of babies and aunts?" Marple shook her head. "Not nonsense code. A hint. A threat, maybe. She was using it to frighten someone." Dolly whispered. "Blackmail." Marple nodded. "Yes. Blackmail dressed as confession. Vague. Suggestive. Enough to unsettle. Enough to force silence." Slack's jaw tightened. So she pretended to be Lavinia, carried this story, and planned to use it. Marple corrected him. Not planned, already used. Someone feared exposure, so they killed her before she could speak louder. The women gasped again, eyes turned suspiciously. Each wondered about the other. Slack folded his arms. "Then the question is clear. Who feared this letter?" Marple's eyes swept the hall. She saw pale faces, trembling hands, tight lips. Her gaze paused on one figure, eyes lowered, shoulders tense, silent too long. But she said nothing yet. She kept the thought within. Slack ordered, "Search the rest of the bag. Check every scrap, every pocket." Constables obeyed. They turned out gloves, a comb, loose coins. No more letters. Slack grunted. Only this page, typed and sealed. Marple whispered, enough to kill her. The women stirred again, fear thick, suspicion sharper. Slack turned back to Marple. Then what do you say? Who is behind this? Marple folded the page, her voice steady. This is only the beginning. The letter names no one, but the typewriter speaks, and the typewriter leads us next. She looked up, her eyes hard, her words final. Tomorrow, I go to the Blue Boar. Next morning, Marple walked to the inn, the Blue Boar. Quiet outside, busy inside. Felix Arden sat by the fire, papers scattered, typewriter on the table, keys worn. He looked up, saw Marple, smiled quickly. Ah, Miss Marple. Always a pleasure. She nodded, calm, measured. Arden tapped the keys. A clack echoed. He pulled out a sheet. New story, he said. Always writing. Always working. Marple's eyes fixed on the page, her gaze sharper than his smile. The E low, the R slanted. Just as before. She whispered softly. Familiar. Arden tilted his head. You read closely, madam, Marple answered flat. Too closely, perhaps. He chuckled. Stories are harmless. Paper and ink. Nothing more. Marple's lips pressed thin. Sometimes stories kill. He stiffened, then forced another smile. You shock me. I am but a writer. Marple sat opposite, her hands still, her eyes direct. An envelope was found, she said, typed, with this machine. Arden's brow furrowed. What envelope? A single page, a tale of babies, and an aunt, typed here, on this desk, with these keys. Arden laughed, but thin. A strange idea. I type much. Anyone might copy my work. Marple's voice cut low. No, machines do not lie. Every flaw repeats. Every page carries the same wound. Slack entered then. Heavy step. Cold stare. He joined Marple. He held up the page. This one. Yours, Arden. Explain it. Arden's smile slipped. His hand twitched. He forced a shrug. A client, perhaps. Borrowed my typewriter. I cannot recall. Marple leaned forward. Borrowed or instructed? Which is true? Arden's jaw tightened. Silence grew heavy. Slack snapped. Answer, before I take you in. Arden looked from one face to the other. His mouth opened, then shut. Sweat beaded. Finally he whispered. She came here. She asked for help. She dictated the words. I only typed. Marple's eyes narrowed. So she used you, but why seal it for me? Arden shook his head quickly. I don't know. She feared something. She said only you could understand. Slack's voice grew harsher. And you let her? Arden spread his hands. I am no killer. I type words. That is all. Marple studied him long, then whispered coldly, Words bind, and your words tied her death. She looked down at the keys, her voice final. This machine is the witness, and it will not stay silent. Felix Arden sat stiff, his hands on the table. Slack loomed over him. Marple watched quietly. Slack barked. You typed this. That ties you in. Arden swallowed. I told you. She came here, she dictated. I only pressed the keys. Marple asked softly. Why you? Why not another? Arden's eyes shifted. She knew my work. She said a writer gives weight. That words from me would matter. Slack snorted. So you wrote her threat? Not mine, Arden said. Hers. I feared her, but I did it. Marple leaned forward. You feared her? Why? Arden's face tightened. She hinted at secrets, old scandals. She spoke of a wrong child. She said names, half names. Enough to frighten. Slack slammed the table. Whose names? Arden hesitated. Sweat beaded. Then he whispered. Vale, Hart, and Bantry. Dolly gasped. My name? Impossible. Arden raised his hands. She used it only as pressure, not truth. She wanted panic. Marple studied him, her eyes steady, her tone sharper. And did it work? Arden nodded once. Yes, people feared her. I feared her too. She said she had evidence, hidden, waiting. Slack growled. Evidence of what? Arden shook his head. She never showed me. She only hinted. But she made enemies. Plenty. Marple whispered. And enemies kill. The room fell silent, the weight heavy, every face strained. Slack pressed harder. Then who killed her? Was it you? Arden's eyes flashed. No. I swear. I type. I drink. I write. But I don't kill. Slack sneered. Convenient. Marple interrupted. Let him speak. The killer used his tool, but not his hand. She turned to Arden again. Where is the rest? Did she leave more pages? Arden shook his head. No, just one. Sealed. Given to you. She said you'd see. You'd know. Marple tapped the page, her voice calm. She feared exposure. But she was already marked. Someone decided silence was safer. Slack leaned back. Then we trace who feared her most. Marple agreed. Yes. Not who typed, not who watched, but who gained from her death. She folded the paper, slipped it back. Her eyes narrowed. Her enemy sits close, closer than we think. Slack asked. Closer? In this very hall. Marple's answer was cold. Yes, here, now. The room froze. No one breathed. No one moved. Marple looked at the women, one by one, her gaze sharp, unforgiving. She whispered only 4 words. The net is closing. The hall filled again, constables still at doors, faces pale, whispers low. Slack stood firm, his voice sharp. No tricks, no lies. We stay until truth comes. Felix Arden slumped, his typewriter taken, his hands restless. Dolly sat stiff, her eyes wide, her lips tight. Marple rose slowly, her tone calm, her words clear. This was murder, planned, executed, deliberate. Slack cut in. But by who? Tell us now. Marple shook her head. Not yet. The pattern must speak, step by step. Slack growled. We don't have time. Marple turned to him, her voice firm. Patience finds killers. Haste loses them. The women gasped, the silence deeper. Marple began. 1. Leaves were swapped. Bay for laurel. That needed knowledge and access. She paused. 2. The cork was pierced. A fine tool. Not kitchen use. Craft work. She paused again. 3. The towels bound. Wire used. Knots exact. Florist's hand. Slack crossed his arms. You circle the same point. Yes, Marple replied. Because the same hand tied all. Not many could. One only. Eyes darted. Fear stirred. Marple continued. She carried a false name, claimed to be Lavinia Hart, but the record proved her dead, so this woman lied. Dolly whispered. Then why involve you, Jane? Marple answered. To borrow my memory, to make her tale true. But lies collapse. Scars vanish only on liars. Slack slammed the table. Enough riddles. Point to the killer. Marple's tone stayed steady. I will, but hear the rest. She carried a letter, typed, a tale of babies, and an aunt. Slack muttered. Nonsense words. Not nonsense, Marple said. Threats in disguise, blackmail in code, enough to rattle, enough to endanger. Felix Arden spoke weakly. She made me type it. I feared her. I only followed. Marple nodded. Yes, and by using his machine, she left a trace. The typewriter betrayed her ally. The flaw in the letters spoke. Slack leaned forward. So her death silenced her. But who wanted silence? Marple's eyes scanned the room, her gaze slow. Measuring, cutting, she said, softly. The one with skill, the one with wire, the one who ties flowers. Gasps spread. Women leaned back, eyes darted to one figure. Slack barked. Name them. Marple's lips pressed thin, her tone cold. The time has come. The hall waited. Hearts pounded, breaths held. Marple pointed, her finger steady, her voice sharp. You know who you are, and so do I. The figure froze. Hands trembled, face drained. The room erupted. Shouts, gasps, fear everywhere. Slack moved fast. Stand up. The figure did not move. Silent. Still. Marple whispered the final line. The killer sits among us, and cannot hide any longer. The hall was silent. The accused sat frozen, eyes down, hands tight. Slack barked. Stand up. Now. The figure rose slowly, head bowed, voice faint. I don't know why you point at me. Marple spoke calm. But I do, because the pattern is clear, and the pattern never lies. Dolly whispered. Jane, explain. Please. Marple stepped forward, her tone sharp. First, the jug. Leaves inside. Not bay. Cherry laurel. Someone knew the hedge. Someone cut it fresh. She paused. Second, the cork. A small puncture, made with a tool. Craft, not kitchen. A careful hand. She paused again. Third, the towels. Bound with florist's wire. Knots exact. Loops even. Done by someone used to arrangements. The women murmured. Some nodded. Some shook their heads. Slack growled. Go on. Marple's eyes narrowed. Fourth, the false identity. The woman claimed Lavinia Hart, but Lavinia was long dead, so why this disguise? She pointed at the page. Fifth, the letter. Typed. Threats in story form. Enough to blackmail. Enough to frighten. Arden muttered. I only typed. She made me. Marple ignored him. Sixth, the reaction. The crowd shocked, but one face too calm, one pair of hands with marks. Wire marks. Not work from today. Work. From habit. The figure shook their head. No, you're wrong. Marple's tone was final. No, I am right. Habit betrays more than lies. And your habit betrayed you. The women gasped. Fear deepened. Eyes darted. Slack slammed his fist. Then say it. Say the name. Marple stayed silent, her gaze steady, her voice soft. I will. But listen first, because the motive hides here too. The letter spoke of a wrong child, a family secret. Old shame. Someone feared it loud. Someone struck first. Dolly clutched her chest. Blackmail. That explains everything. Marple nodded. Yes, the impostor wanted gain, but she gained death, because secrets are guarded harder than gold. Slack snapped, so the florist's hand killed her, to keep a secret buried. Marple's voice cut cold. Yes, and the pattern proves it. She turned to the accused, her eyes sharp, her words slow. You bound the towels, you cut the hedge, you pierced the cork, you made the trap, you silenced her. The figure trembled, mouth opened, no sound came. Slack stepped closer. You'll confess now, or I'll drag it out of you." The figure gasped suddenly. "I never meant to kill her." The hall erupted. Shouts, cries, gasps. Marple raised her hand. Silence fell. She said one line, "Then tell us why." The figure shook. Their voice cracked. "I never meant death. Only silence. Only warning." Slack stepped closer. "Warning? With poison? Don't twist words." The figure raised trembling hands. "She was dangerous. She lied. She threatened us all." Marple's tone was steady. "Explain clearly. No riddles. Truth now." The figure's eyes darted. "To her I was prey. She knew about the hedge. She knew my work. She mocked my skill. She demanded money. Or she would tell." Slack barked. "Tell what?" A pause, a heavy breath. "That I stole flowers, that I lied about them, that I cheated in church displays." Gasps filled the hall. Dolly whispered, "Such a petty thing." Marple shook her head. "No, not petty. Habits matter. Small lies grow. And blackmailers know it." The figure sobbed. "She pushed me, day after day, said she had proof, said she'd shame me." I snapped. Slack growled. "So you armed the jug. You cut the hedge. You tied the towels. You made certain." The figure nodded weakly. "Yes. But I meant her to faint, not die, just frighten." Marple's tone cut cold. "Poison does not frighten. It kills. You knew that." The figure covered their face. "I was desperate. She would not stop. I thought only of release." Slack seized their arm. "You'll answer in court. Confession enough." He turned to the crowd. "Case closed. Murder court." But Marple did not move. Her eyes stayed fixed, her lips thin. Dolly leaned close. "Jane, it's over." "Isn't it?" Marple whispered. "No, not yet." Slack scowled. "What do you mean?" Marple lifted the typed page. "This story. It speaks of more. Not flowers. Not church games. A child. A switch. An aunt. A lie buried deep." The women stirred again. Fear renewed. Suspicion wider. Slack muttered. "Another layer?" "Yes," Marple said. "The blackmail touched more than flowers. She hinted at family, at inheritance, at names not safe." Felix Arden spoke low. "She told me too. She said she had secrets about a family in this parish. She laughed when I asked which. She only said, 'They all fear me.'" Marple's eyes narrowed. "So the truth runs deeper. This death is only the surface." Slack grumbled. "Enough puzzles. We have our killer." Marple's reply was cold. "We have a hand, but not the mind, not the full cause, not the one who set her path." The hall fell silent again. The accused wept softly. The women looked at one another. Fear spread once more. Marple folded the page. Her words final. "This is no ending. It is the middle." She looked straight at Slack, her voice sharp, and the real shadow has yet to show itself. The hall remained tense. Constables stood firm. The accused still wept. Slack kept grip on their arm. He growled, "You poisoned her. You confessed. What more do you want?" Marple answered calmly, "The act, yes. But the cause, no. That remains hidden." Slack frowned. "You speak in riddles again." Marple shook her head. "Not riddles. Facts. The woman carried false name. She posed as Lavinia Hart. But she was not. She came with purpose. And she brought fear." Dolly whispered. "Fear of what?" Marple lifted the page. "This. The letter. Typed. Coded. A baby switched. An aunt complicit. Not random words. A direct threat." Felix Arden nodded weakly. She laughed as she dictated, said families would tremble, said secrets would crawl from graves. The women gasped. Eyes shifted. Hands clutched shawls. Slack barked. Families. Which families? Which families? Marple's eyes swept the crowd. Her tone sharpened. She dropped names. Vale. Hart. Even Bantry. Not all true, but enough to strike nerves. Dolly shivered. She dared to use mine? Yes, Marple said. She used any name she could. To frighten. To corner. To profit. Slack muttered. So she was a blackmailer. Marple agreed. Yes, but one step more. She hinted at a living scandal. Someone here believed her. Someone knew the danger was real. The accused sobbed again. She mocked me too, but I only feared disgrace, not blood. Marple looked at them coldly. You were tool, not cause. You silenced her with laurel, but someone placed her in your path. Someone used you. Slack's jaw tightened. You mean another hand guided this? Yes, Marple said. Her imposter role, her typed tale, her pressure, all part of a design. And the one behind it still hides. The hall stirred. Women whispered again. Fear spread wider. Marple turned to Slack. Do not close the case. The net is not full. The shadow still waits. Slack glared. You suspect someone else. Marple's answer was steady. I do, because secrets of children are heavier than flowers. And this letter speaks of children. Dolly clutched her chest. Jane, you mean real children? Real lives? Marple's eyes hardened. Yes, and real motives. For inheritance. For pride. For name. Slack snapped. Then who hides behind this story? Marple looked down at the page. Her lips moved slow. Her words cut sharp. The aunt is real, and she still lives. Gasps broke again. Every eye turned. Fear now deeper than ever. The hall was silent again. Every face pale. Every breath short. Slack's voice cut harsh. You said the aunt is real. Who is she? Marple did not answer at once. She looked at the letter. Read the words again. Slow. Measured. The wrong baby was taken. The aunt knew. That line is not random. It names a secret. Dolly whispered. Which family? Marple's eyes scanned the room. Someone here feared those words. Feared enough to strike. Feared enough to use others as weapons. Slack growled. Stop circling. Tell us who. Marple raised her hand. Patience. This secret spans years. It stains bloodlines, and the guilty thought time would bury it. Felix Arden spoke weakly. She said so herself. She laughed. She said, the aunt still breathes. Gasps spread again. Some women cried out. Others covered their mouths. Slack slammed his fist. Then name her, Marple. End this now. Marple shook her head. Not yet. The pieces are close, but the proof must show. Dolly clutched her arm. Jane, you frighten me. Is it someone we know? Marple's tone was cold. Yes, closer than you think. Closer than any here dare. Admit. The accused wept harder. I was used. I tied the towels. I cut the hedge. But I was not the mind. I was pushed. Marple nodded slowly. Yes, a hand guided you. That hand belongs to the aunt. She feared the impostor. She feared exposure. Slack snapped again. Then who? Say it. Marple folded the page, her eyes dark. Her words final. The letter is unfinished. The name missing. But the aunt will reveal herself, because guilt cannot hide forever. The room froze. Every woman stiff, every man silent. Then a soft sound. Paper sliding. A note pushed under the hall door. Slack seized it fast. He read aloud. 3 words only. One more waits. The hall erupted. Gasps. Screams. Fear louder than before. Marple stood still, her voice low, her eyes sharp. This is not the end. The true game begins now.